All right, so you probably heard the news by now. Fred Warner carted off the field early on in the 49ers-Buccaneers game, and they actually gave us a couple good views of this, so I really wanted to talk about this and kind of explain what's going on. And the play this happens on is actually a pretty simple play. Rachaad White's just going to run it up the middle, and you'll see Fred Warner's just going to get taken out by his own teammate, a little friendly fire here. And it's already been released that this was a ankle dislocation and a fracture, but this is kind of what I was suspecting immediately when the play happened anyway. You'll see from these pictures that I'm showing you right now that it was pretty obvious that the foot and ankle are experiencing some sort of deformity here. They're in severe eversion or external rotation of that ankle. And anytime you see a joint like this or any sort of body part like this, you're going to know immediately there's some sort of dislocation or fracture going on in there. Now, we were lucky enough that CBS gave us a second angle of this injury so we can really evaluate the mechanism. Again, this kind of just shows you him being rolled up on. But the series of images I'm about to show you really demonstrate the progression of this injury. So in the first picture on the left, you'll see he's at this point still running. His foot is pretty much flat on the ground. I'll circle his foot here since it's kind of hard to see. And then in almost the next frame, you'll see that his teammate's weight comes down on that leg and forces his foot into that everted or external rotated position, and you'll notice that his foot in that image is pretty much flush against the ground on the inside of his foot, right? So what you would expect is his toes would be on the ground here, but he's just forced into that external rotation. So in the third image here, you'll see kind of the final component of this injury where his ankle is pinned under his teammate, which doesn't really allow his muscles and ligaments to work properly in recoiling that ankle back into the neutral or normal position. So typically what you see when you roll your ankle is it tries to recoil back into that normal position, but that body weight doesn't allow that to happen. So instead, actually, they're traveling forward, creating a tractional force, which is pulling apart his ankle, further ensuring that his ankle is dislocated here. All right, so taking a look at your ankle here, what I'm kind of talking about when I say the recoiling of your ankle are going to be these muscles right here. So these are going to be your peroneus brevis, the peroneus longus right behind it, maybe a little bit of the peroneus tertius, and then these three ligaments, which are your main lateral ankle or outside of your ankle stabilizers. And so when you have a ankle sprain or an inversion ankle sprain, those muscles and ligaments are going to be what pull that ankle back into its regular position. For the muscles, it's going to be the stretch reflex, which basically makes the muscles contract when they are stretched. And then for the ligaments, it's going to be just their elasticity that brings them back into that normal position. Now, on the other side, or what we have going on in this injury, is the eversion ankle sprain. Now, these are a lot less common, and that's mainly because of not so much the muscles, but the deltoid ligaments, or those four ligaments that you see right here. I'll label them 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, the muscles also play a factor. So, you have the three muscles in the back, and then you have the tibialis anterior in the front, which again are all going to work. But those deltoid ligaments are really what's carrying the load when it comes to the medial ankle. And they're very strong. So you don't typically see medial ankle sprains on their own too often. So usually they're like this injury where you have somebody falling on you and forcing that position. And like I said, there's another component to this injury, which is that tractional force I was talking about. Now, you mainly see this in just about every dislocation. And if I draw the ankle right here, I'll just trace the line. You'll see it's pretty compact. Everything's pretty tight together. Your fibula on the outside and tibia on the inside are resting on that bone called the talus. And the tractional force is going to look something like this, where the bones or the joint is going to be pulled apart, which will increase the joint space where the bones articulate or come together. And what that does is make it super easy for that talus, the bone on the bottom, to rotate and slip under the fibula on the outside. And then it gets stuck in this position and can't go back together. Sometimes dislocations will relocate on their own, and other times they need to be reduced or put back into place. As for the fracture component of this injury, what we typically see with an ankle dislocation or an ankle roll are going to be a fracture of the furthest away or the distal portions of your tibia and fibula, known as your malleoli. And you've definitely seen or touched this part of your ankle before. It's the big bumps that stick out on the sides. You can't miss them. And with any dislocation, you're always going to be worried about the vascular structure, so your anterior tibial artery, your posterior tibial artery, and the fibular or peroneal artery. You're always going to want to make sure that they have a pulse. The pedal pulse, distal pedal pulse, is what we use in your ankle, or something in their toes that's going to show you that they have good vascularity and that it's intact. Again, this is something that you kind of worry about when you have these dislocations and ankle structure is not where it's supposed to be. Another cool part of this injury that was caught on camera is you'll see this guy in beige, the beige suit. He kind of just runs out there and immediately starts touching his ankle, starts moving it around. I'm assuming he's part of the medical staff, definitely maybe a doctor or physician. But what you'll see is he's kind of grabbing the ankle, twisting a little bit, yanking it a little bit, and the next shot we see is that it's kind of in a normal position. So whether the ankle relocated by itself or that was him relocating the ankle, which would be pretty awesome, I'm not exactly sure, because in the first clip he doesn't actually look like the ankle's in the wrong position at the time that he's working on it. But either way, pretty cool to see. But regardless, he's in the air splint on the cart. It's going to be a season-ending injury, going to require surgery. So let me know what you think about this one.